After so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear, I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet.
Peace and love, family. Welcome again to the N.E.P.P.C podcast, which is the home of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, an organization that is committed to advocating for the release of U.S.-held political prisoners. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm a former political prisoner.
Abdul Haq Islam.
Today's episode, we focus on this tragedy of Marcellus Khaliifah Williams. Right, Khalifa meaning leader. And this brother, to his very end, he was a leader on principle. He stood up for what was right. He claimed his innocence to the very end, and that has to be something that we really respect. Because how many of us would have said anything to get ourselves out of that predicament? It just lets you know the power of committing to an idea, also the power of one's faith. And we have much respect for that brother. One of the things that came to mind is what's worse than a tragedy, or what's worse than a tragedy is actually lessons that are not learned from the tragedy. So we want to ask ourselves that question today. What should we learn from this, and how can we move our people forward? We got to remind ourselves that this is October, right? October is the month of the origin of the Black Panther Party. Black Panther Party starting with two people, starting with Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. I've raised that to let people know that, you start off with your consciousness, and then you bring it to others, and you win them over to your ideas. Because I think that's important, because when we talk about this execution of this innocent man, we got to look at what was the response of those who were in prison? Where was the hunger strikes? Where was the work stoppage? you can do something. And we didn't hear about this, and was there any leadership there? Where was the level of consciousness that is needed to take on that particular task? Many questions came to my mind, and I want to raise those questions to our viewers. Please share, please like, share with at least 10 people, share with as many as possible. Let's talk about this brother, Marcellus Khaliifah Williams. Brother Abdul Islam, when you think about this tragedy, what's your viewpoint?
Peace and love, brothers and sisters out there. This was an outrage. You understand? This brother was innocent. There's much evidence that the brother was innocent. So, you know, the big issue right here is justice. You know, look at the injustice in this case. You know, like I said, this is something we should have our people out in the street raising all kind of sand. You know, it should be actions all over the place. You know, when a tragedy like this goes down. You know, so this podcast we're doing right now is just one action. You know, but there need to be many, many, many more. You know, because this was a tremendous injustice. All right, looking at the case, first of all, the court never even heard that there was that the DNA found at the crime scene, you know, did not match Brother Khaliifah's. All right, there was hair found at the crime scene. It didn't match his. You know, when you look at the testimony, there was what they call incentivized testimony. In other words, people testifying for reward. In the case of Mr. Cole, he was a prisoner, a known liar. His family even confirmed he was a liar, testifying to save his own skin and paid $5,000 to lie. And the other witness, Laura Asario, you know, was Khaliifah's girlfriend at one time. You know, she also had problems with the law. You know, and she was given money to testify too. And her testimony and Cole's testimony, you know, conflicted and contradicted one another. You know, the court never heard that. You know, the first governor to get involved in the case postponed, gave the brother a stay of execution. The next governor, in spite of knowing all the evidence, hearing all the evidence, you know, still ordered our brother to be executed. So one way that we can protest, one way that we can hit back at the system, you know, is to share some of the brother's poetry. And there's one particular poem that he talked about the children of Palestine. In this poem, he exposed a lot of the crimes of America. So one way that we can hit back is to share this poem with great numbers of people. So I'm gonna play it right now. I hope this daggone device acts right. You know, sometimes.
So while the brother's finding that poem, let me continue to get into this conversation about this brother who, you know, who lost his life, innocent man who lost his life, who has so much to give people. Just when you hear this particular poem, he took a position regarding the crisis in Palestine or the attack or the ethnic cleansing rather of the Palestinians. And I think that said a lot about him, a lot about his character. And when I look at the lack of outrage that that happens, I ask myself, why are we normalizing oppression? Why are we annoyed or normalizing what just occurred? We have to ask ourselves some very serious questions and ask ourselves, you know, what dangers is this have to what's going on currently and to what will be passed down to another generation. This is what we need to really look at when we look at this situation. There's always something that you can do, and that's why we provide you with the information that we do, including our contact, right? 347-679-3936. Because if you need to ask us a question and you're not comfortable with asking it while we're on air, then you can call me and I'll deal with that question because we want to take responsibility. We want to be accountable. We want to really take the matters very serious as it pertains to innocent people being attacked, innocent people dying, right? Because we are fighters for a just world. And that's what political prisoners are. They're fighters for a just world. We give the names of a number of political prisoners who are sitting in prison. Of those of you who are of the Islamic faith, you know, when you go to your service, you know, you got to talk about this brother Khalifa, this brother Marcellus Khaliifah Williams. Bring his name up and talk about, you know, what is your responsibility as it regards to what's happening. There are other Muslims that are incarcerated who are actually haven't been executed right now, but it's like they're going through a slow process of being executed, because each day that they're not dealing with their family, around their loved ones, around that the power of that love, you know, they're meeting a slow death. You know, brothers like Kamal Siddiqui, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, and many others, but those were specific dealing with the Islamic faith.
So the poem is ready to go, and I'm gonna get this here. Right, come on, come on, come on. Yeah.
The murder weapon did not match Williams. It matched another man. The prosecutor, jurors, and victim's family opposed the execution. He wrote a poem, The Perplexing Smiles of the Children of Palestine. Despite the actions of the few and excessive retaliation, drones, planes, bombs, tanks, rubble, buildings demolished, vanished houses and neighborhoods, hospitals targeted, UN shelters disrespected, murder, death, deliberate killing of non-combatants, babies buried alive, amputations, hunger and political starvation, lack of or no water, strategic sanitation, daily terror, and terrorized daily, military maneuvering, moving here and there to return back again to nowhere, trauma with all its manifestations, defiance to the realization of two nations, global amnesia, siblings and relatives gone forever, parental worries in the face of apex ignorance, and ethnic cleansing by any definition. Still your laughter can be heard, and somehow you are able to smile, O resilient children of Palestine.
Wow, that was a powerful poem, and like I said, one way that we can protest this brother's execution is to share that poem, and hopefully millions of people will be able to hear that poem. And it talks about the crimes of the U.S. and Israel together, you know, murdering children, depriving people of food, bombing hospitals, denying people water, you know, and all these types of things. These war crimes are happening right now in Israel, you know, right now by Israel and America. America supplying weapons and money, you know, for genocide jumping off right now. So we will remember Marcellus Khaliifah Williams by telling the truth about his murderers. You know, this is an innocent man who was murdered. Plenty of evidence that the brother was innocent. Well, one thing I meant to mention earlier was that 5 blacks was excluded from the jury. You know, so here again, we found racism in action. You know, and you know, we need to stand up and, you know, and make some noise about these type of atrocities that's going down. Peace.
Yes, just like we made, well, those who were involved at the time, because, you know, I don't want to take credit for something that I was not involved with, because that was before I was involved with actually being very seriously in terms of political organizing. I'm talking about with Mumia Abu Jamal.
Right, Mumia, yeah.
Right, August 17th of that particular year, they had planned to execute Mumia. Why did that not go out?
August 17th.
Exactly.
Garden's birthday.
Exactly. That was a direct attack on us on many different levels. But my point is that, you know, what prevented that execution? It was obviously the people whose voices got heard, serious organizing, serious commitment, and the people would not accept nothing less but their demands. In this situation, I don't think our voices was as loud. I don't think we were as well organized as we should have been. For me, I was familiar with the posting online, but, you know, I didn't get deeper into learning more about the brother. So I have to take responsibility for that. And I have to commit myself to being more alert, being more aware, being more committed. You know, we all got to ask ourselves, how much are we doing, and can we do more and do more, right? Challenge ourselves to do more. So when I think about this particular brother and I think about political prisoners, that's why it's very important that this work of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition and other organizations that I just submitted their information along the screen so that you can take note of who's doing what and how you can support them on any level, right? You could donate $1, you could commit some of your time, you can even share, like we have this podcast episode right now, you can share it with a number of your contacts, encourage them to share with their contacts so the word can be amplified. So the idea that political prisoners are in prison waiting for us to bring them home can be taken very seriously, because I think that, you know, this tragedy should fuel us to do more, to let us accept the responsibility that, you know, we got to find out what's going on. We got to find out who's doing what and why. With the case of Marcellus Khaliifah Williams, you had the Innocent Project on that, you know, so I just want to salute them and their work. I know they're taking up the case of Imam Jamil Al-Amin. So, you know, we respect them, and we would like to know what we can do on our end, even though the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition is doing their work. But there's always more work you can do, right? And we got to bring this idea of political prisoners being in prison to the community. Let the community know that while we're out here living our lives, going through work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you know, there's somebody in prison, you know, working, right? Or may not be working, depending on the situation. But they're in prison away from their loved ones, and they wanted to go home, and we can make that happen. But we got to do the work. One thing that I came across is, you know, learning about our victories. We learned that the state can be defeated. When the state wanted to execute Mumia Abu Jamal, the people said no, not on our watch, not on our time, not as long as we have anything to say about that. I think with the case of Brother Khalifa is that we were, as our organizations or our organizing work wasn't as intense. It should have been more in people's faces, where it's part of the daily information that's being given to you, like we hear about Palestine and the crisis in the so-called Middle East, like we hear about this current union striking, which going to interrupt people getting goods if this goes on too long. And I think that that idea or that threat for people's peace to be interrupted is present. Then now more people are aware, more people are alert. Now the matter is taken more seriously, and that's what lesson I've learned, that you can't say that you're a part of advocating for someone to be innocent, and then you don't give everything that you can to that situation. And this is an idea that we all have to process collectively and individually, right? Because we have to be responsible for our own consciousness being developed. And it's our consciousness that allows us to develop, that allows us to come up with ideas that is going to be beneficial to achieving that outcome that we want. With the situation with this brother being executed, and when you compare it to Mumia's situation, why do you think that people forgot about the situation with Mumia and the fact that Mumia was scheduled to be executed?
Well, I guess his situation wasn't as well known. You know, I didn't hear about the situation, you know, months and months and months ago.
I was saying, why do you think that people forgot about Mumia? Why do you think that the lesson wasn't carried over about Mumia was once executed, and with this brother, there's a possibility that the brother can avoid execution? Oh, I guess like you were just saying that it wasn't as known.
It wasn't as well known.
I see what you're saying.
But however, the brother, you know, even though there's nothing we can do right now to stop the execution, you know, the brother's execution, his death is served, you know, as a weapon against the enemy. There's a saying that the blood of the martyrs rise up as a sword against the enemy. So this brother's spirit, this brother's principles, you know, his beliefs, his life. The brother was an imam, you know, and there was the janazah prayers all over America for the brother. You know, his last words on earth was praise to Allah in all situations. You know, he was a leader. You know, Khalifa means leader. So we can take his leadership and his ideas, his beliefs, you know, and his example, and use it. You understand the way martyrs are useful, you know, to us in our struggle, you know, against the enemy. The brother was the brother was very, very well known, very, very well loved. So we can continue to spread his ideas, spread the words of his poetry, you know, to attract more and more and more people. You know, it was an outrage, and you know, we just can't sit around crying about outrage. We got to do something about it. You know, we got to act. You know, so we remember the brother. You know, and the brother will continue to be, you know, a powerful figure in, you know, as we study history and share history with our people. You know, you know.
Absolutely. So we there's work to do, and we got to commit ourselves to doing the work. You know, we're here on Wednesdays from the hours of 12 to 12:30. We also have another platform that we're on. So, you know, we're doing our part. We're expanding the ideas. You catch us in Bedford-Stuyvesant at Sister's Place, 456 Nostrand Avenue, on Wednesdays, organizing with we're organizing the Stop the Killing campaign. That's a part of our work as members of the December 12th movement, as members of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. We're dealing with the idea of political prisoner. Joy Powell, she's going to speak on our brother's Charles Barron's show. That's going to be this coming Friday, Eastern Standard Time at 5 p.m. She's going to talk about what's going on Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. It's very important that we give those who are in prison a voice. So that's why it's crucial to write to them. I'm still waiting for Ronald Reed to write me back. We gave you a number of names of political prisoners that the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition are involved with. That's Ronald Reed, that's Fred Mohammed Burton, that's Mumia Abu Jamal, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, Abdul Haziz, Malik Bey, Joseph Bowen, Kojo, Bomani, Sababu, Kamal Siddiqui, Joy Powell, Leonard Peltier, Hanif, Shabazz Bey. You know, these are just some names to speak about when we talk about U.S. held political prisoners. We got to ask ourselves, why are they still there? Although they have not been executed yet, they are facing a slow death when they're not home with their loved ones. So we have to keep that in mind and not be comfortable with allowing the state to decide the outcome for them. We have to let the state know you answer to the demands of the people. Those demands are not going to be taken as seriously as they should be if we are not seriously organized and we're not committed to carrying our ideas as far as we should, right? Because when you interrupt the operation of capitalists, you get their attention. And that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. We are working class people. We have that ability to organize a strike, organize a general strike. Just imagine the power that an organized general strike would have in the international level, as well as the national level. Obviously, and we have to know our power, and we have to be in tune with our power. We have to use it to advocate for our ideas. So Marcellus Khaliifah Williams, his blood is on all of our hands because we didn't do enough to prevent him from being executed. Right. He's a martyr now, and we can honor him through our work, through our ability to organize our people, common people, people who have the ability to stand up. But how are they going to be able to stand up? We do that through raising their consciousness. And that's why we're always presenting the books. We always have our library available so that you can take notes on what you need to be dealing with, what you need to have in your library. Because once you have these books in your library, then you're going to understand that it's something that you need to do. And there's something that's being done as we speak, right? There's an organization deciding what's going to be on their meeting's agenda. There's an organization decide what's going to be their relationship to the community, because we have to have these strong relationships The community must know us. So now, when we're talking about a particular idea that's happening, and it might not resonate immediately with the community, but then they see the news and they see what we were talking about. Now, the next time they see us, they want to engage more. They want to ask them questions. From that, we decide we're going to invite them to a meeting. Once they come to a meeting, we decide that we're going to put them to the task. We're going to evaluate them. We're going to see what they're good at and what they're willing to do and take it from there. It's not as hard or as intense as one makes it. It's about commitment. It's about sacrifice. You know, first start off with a sacrifice. Sacrifice some time. Sacrifice some of your earnings, right? It's $1, you know, 50 cents, whatever you can do, whatever you can afford to be without. And just think about contributing to a bigger cause. Think about Kamal Siddiqui, think about Joy Powell, and those other political prisoners that I spoke about. Because when we put out these episodes, we are giving them a fighting chance to come home. Brother, what you was about to say something?
Yeah, I had something I wanted to say, and I was struggling in my memory, trying to memorize what it was, to remember what it was. What it was that Brother Khalifa, one message he gave, you know, through his leadership, was not in his poem. He said it talked about how the U.S. and Israel murder women, children, babies, destroy crops, deny people food, water, you know, equipment and stuff like that. And so the message that we get from this is don't be like the enemy. You know, when an enemy attacks you, you know, talking about nations or a smaller level than that, when you attack, do not fall for the pressure of murdering children. Don't go around like blowing up the World Trade Center and stuff like that. You know, don't be you know, mass murder innocent people, non-combatants and stuff like that. You know, if you follow those rules, those are, you know, rules of Islam. You know, so when you follow rules like that, you'll have people on your side. You know, Israel and the U.S. right now, their propaganda, one of Israel's main propaganda, Marcellus talked about Palestine, you know, talked about the crimes of Israel. So when you work in this area, you understand, you must do the things that give you a reputation for honesty and decency. You know, one thing Israel does in its propaganda right now, it always talks about God has a covenant with Israel. You know, God chose Israel. You know, but one thing it leaves out is that in that covenant there's an obligation. It says to do the will of God and, you know, to example, you know, the likeness of God in your activities. They always leave that out. So genocide, you know, infanticide, you know, and all the time to deny people food, deny people medicine, the destroy hospitals, schools, and all that type of stuff. That ain't got nothing to do. God ain't got no covenant with that. You know, so don't get fooled by that propaganda. Like I said, they only mention that first part, but they don't mention their obligations, which they have, which they deny, which they go against. They don't not fulfill. They are in a covenant. There's two sides of a covenant, you know. So that's one thing I want to put on people's minds. And as I said before in Brother Khalifa's poetry, you know, he talked about these type of evils, these type of evil things that people do in war, you know. So part of his legacy must be that we must be righteous in our struggles, you understand, to gain the support of the masses and not the enmity of the masses, and don't give the enemy an excuse, you know, to get the masses of the people to go against us. Peace.
Absolutely. So the brother just laid out what we need to do and laid out why we need to do it. And I think that, you know, that's an idea, a concept that we have to continue to develop, and we have to drive ourselves to do more because we want to be the example for those who look for us for answers that we are clear on what our answers should be, and that answer is just not something that we don't intend to do, but actually we're going to do it ourselves. That's why when I tell you to write to a political prisoner, or I inform you about the importance of writing to a political prisoner, that I do it myself. I am the example that I want you to be. And so we have to be clear on that, because we can't be the type to tell somebody to do something and we don't do it ourselves. So I'm looking forward to getting the letter back from Ronald Reed. I'm looking forward to sharing the details of it that he would allow me to do, because we have to continue to give them voices on our platform. And that's exactly what I intend to do. We have to go back to Queensbridge, because the banner from Joy Powell to the Queensbridge community is no longer there. I don't know who removed it or what, but I have an idea.
Some reactionaries.
No, I think it was housing they're doing their job, telling them that, you know, they have to remove certain material that's there. But, you know, we're going to come back stronger. That's all. I'll get another banner, or I'll get more than just one banner and have it in certain areas, as well as produce a number of those letters and put them inside the lobbies of various buildings in Queensbridge, so those people could see it and really start to understand who Joy Powell is and have a different type of relationship with her. But that's a task that I'm gonna give myself, and that's a task I'm gonna carry out. It's just a matter of time. But, you know, we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to understand that, you know, this system has been intact for centuries, right? And we have to realize that, and it's going to take some more time for us to create a society that's more beneficial for us. So, brother, those are my closing words. What's your closing words before we close out this episode? We came to that time, brother.
Well, my closing words are going to be Brother Khalifa's last words before he died, which were all praise to Allah in all situations.
What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?